Boom, welcome back. Divorced Dads of America, The Rebuild. I'm your host, founder Anthony Thompson, coach and advisor. And I'm with you today. We're going to get into some questions. Welcome back. Every Wednesday, I take real questions from real dads in The Rebuild, unpack them honestly, no filters, no perfect answers. I don't have it all together either myself, but I'm going to share with you, with talking to 1,000 dads every month, what is working from what does not. I'm going to give you truth. I'm going to give you tools for the man doing the hardest work there is. Today, I have a couple questions. The first one is something almost every dad has faced and doesn't talk about. What do you do with old photos? Wedding album, family vacations, screenshots on your camera roll. The second question is deeper. A dad asking who he's supposed to become now that the life he planned is gone. And both of these live in the same place. So I want to get into it right from the go, right from the jump. These are things that I've had to go through. These are things that I coach guys through, whether one-on-one with business owners and high-level executives or in our school group, whereas it is an open forum where any of you can jump in and join. So I encourage you to do one or the other. Do not do this alone. You don't have to anymore, man. We have a band of brothers, dude, that are rock and roll. And every week I'm so proud of what they're doing and how they support one another. So let me get the first one. This question came from a dad in the community. He said, Anthony, I don't know what to do with the old photos. The wedding pictures, the family photos, every time I see them, it wrecks me, but I can't bring myself to delete them either. What is the right thing to do with them? Look, man, sometimes a lot of this stuff, there's not a I don't ever want to say that I have all of the answers. I believe that what we know is limited, what we don't know is unlimited. I'll give you my experience with it, the different phases that I was in, and what I would recommend with dads, because your internals are ultimately what needs to heal, because that changes how you see everything. When you have a good attitude, changes how you see things. When you have a bad attitude, changes how you see things. When you have bitterness or unforgiveness, or you have anger or frustration, you see things differently. So I want to first just acknowledge this, that, hey, there's not a perfect answer for this, because I probably can't cover it for every situation and every scenario. There might be someone that had abuse and so many things in their divorce that is just so traumatic that they've got to really look at all of those photos differently. And they may not want to at this time. So anyone who tells you to delete everything immediately or keep everything exactly as it is, they're giving you a rule where process is needed. Process is huge. Here's what I know. Here's what I've had to look at for myself. And I've just, full disclosure, I got all my photos. I got them all. I haven't really deleted anything because um I was processing through it, and I took a step back and I was like, all right, in 50 years, do I maybe still want that photo? Like, am I still going to feel anger or hatred about it? That's the initial idea that you got to have in your head. The photos aren't the problem. It's your relationship with them. It's the meaning behind the photo. That's what life is all about, is about meaning. It is about what's the meaning behind it. Right now, the photos are triggers because the grief hasn't been processed. And an unprocessed wound makes everything associated painful. It just, every time you see it, it's painful, you know. But again, it's the meaning behind it. What is the meaning behind that? Why does that matter? Why does that affect you? And as you begin, and when I'm sitting with clients and we walk through this and talk through this, and we get down to the real why of it's bothering them, that's when you can start to discover what's the real problem. It's not the photo. It's the meaning behind the photo. It's what you have associated that photo with. So the photo isn't doing anything. It's your nervous system is responding to this grief, to this loss, to this failure and pain. But I'll give you three I would say stages that dads go in. And I see all of them. And I've been in all of them. And I'll give you the first one is distance. Early when this stuff happens, put the photos away as much as possible. Not deleted, just away. If you've got those photo reminder apps, or you're on Facebook and it's popping those things up, just take that setting off, because it's going to be a hard thing for you to go through. It's going to constantly bring you back. And what fires together wires together. And so you're going to keep wiring this stuff in your brain, and it's just going to be more of a distraction. It's going to hurt even more. So it's not avoidance. This isn't an avoidance thing. It's just saying, hey, let's create some space here for a second. Let me work, on this area of my life so that I can see the other areas in a different way. That's what you're looking for here. You can't process the grief while the reminders are just, destroying you. It's like your phone. It's If you don't take the notifications off on your phone, then you're talking to somebody and you're constantly distracted. You're not engaged, you're not present, you're not able to hold a conversation. Many times when people would have these Apple Watches, they're just looking at them. And so while the tool seems to be helpful, it's actually not helpful when you're having that conversation with somebody. And that's the same thing that happens with these old alerts, these old notifications. It's like, whoa, hold on here. I actually don't need that conversation right now. I need to be dealing with this. The second thing is sorting. The second stage is a sorting stage. When you have more stability, go through them intentionally in batches, not all at once. Those photos belong to them as much as you. And one day your kids will want to see evidence that their parents maybe were happy together and those moments were real. And, this is maybe a gift that you preserve for them, not a punishment for yourself. Wedding photos, couples photos. Um, some men keep them, some don't. And look, I'm not giving you whichever way you decide to go. I'm just asking you to take a step back. There's this second stage where it's like space. Okay. There's a sorting space. Some men keep them, some don't. That's fine. The question is not what to do with the photos, it's whether you've processed enough of the grief to make the decision from a healthy place, not a hurtful place. You know, hurt people hurt people. That's not what you want to do with these photos. They are part of your life as long as you understand where they play a part in your life. They're they're not part of the future anymore, and that's going to be a different conversation. The third stage is integration. Further as you get along and as you've processed grief, and guys in our school group, you've gone through creating a vision and mission for what you want and with the kids and where you're going and what you're building. And I know for me, I could then go back and look at those and be like, you know what? Thank God for that moment. Thank God that I had that time. Man, the kids had a great time and we did great. And there was so many phenomenal moments. And I look at those and I'm thankful for them. They've now become moments of gratefulness and thankfulness because I looked at where I was and I looked at where I'm at now. And I looked at the processes of grief and creating, the systems for my life and the habits in my life and where my mind is at and where my body is at and where I'm at with the Lord. And I look back at them and I say, thank you. What a great gift. And so as you're into this integration stage, the same photos that wrecked me are photos where I am just humbled before the Lord. I'm grateful for my kids. I'm thankful for the life that I have, a life that happened, a family that existed, moments that mattered. And you don't have to pretend the marriage was good if it wasn't, but you also don't have to erase evidence that you lived and loved something that you did build. Integration is not celebrating what was lost, it's accepting that it was real. Those of you guys that have joined this, there's about 30% of you that are subscribers. And so there's 7 out of 10 of you haven't subscribed yet. And I'm going to tell you why this matters. There's dads every week that'll come to me and say, thank you for this podcast. And they found the podcast because of what you are doing right now. 2 clicks, subscribe. Subscribe on Apple, follow on Spotify. And as you do that, it sends that to other divorced dads that are looking for help, practical solutions, uh, biblical understanding of how to walk through this as a person of faith, finding a community. Those of you guys in our school group that are in there, a band of brothers, those of you guys that are in our Climb, our private community, guys, these are guys building a life that they thought was impossible. And it all started with just a couple clicks from you right there, wherever you're at. And that sends the algorithm out to all these other guys that are looking and needing help. And I want to say thank you. That's what you can do right now. Every one of you, 7 out of 10 haven't subscribed. Just hit subscribe. Send this to another dad. We've got some huge stuff coming up in the next few weeks, some great guests. I've started to open up the inventory to guests, which I think you'll enjoy. I know hearing me every week is, fun sometimes and fun it's not. But I've got some great guys that are going to deliver some incredible understandings of this and how they built through it and give you courage and give you strength and find this community that's for you, that is going to help you become the man that you've always been. The second question, here we go. Second one. This came in from multiple dads. I hear it in different forms on a lot of coaching calls. A lot of guys asking this. Anthony, I don't know who I'm supposed to be now. I don't know what I want for my life. I don't know what I want to become. I feel like I've been so crushed by the stress, survival, that I can't even think straight enough to dream. Who am I supposed to become after all this? That is a very common thing. Many guys, I'm asking, what do you want for your life? I don't know, man. And as you know, stress, anxiety on your brain shuts your brain down to about 40 to 50% that you're able to use. Your ability to creatively think and process is diminished, nearly gone. So there's no wonder why when I do ask these individuals, they don't have a response, because they are going through the second most stressful thing in a person's life. And it is mind numbing, blurry, blender. So I want to take you back to maybe a couple of things for you that helps. There's a guy in our call recently that we talked to specifically about this. And I don't have all of the answers for you. I will prod and poke and push and have you try other doors that will get you there. And I believe that you listening to this is proof that you do want something to change. So I want to take you back to a time, somewhere that I can answer this. And I want you to imagine this time for yourself, wherever you're at, to help you find of who you want to become, what you want to be. I wrote a couple books on Amazon just about finding your assignment in life. And there's a whole list of that. I don't have time for that. But this example today, I want you to do something that's interesting. It's a little bit different. Many of you guys maybe have, but I want to move in a different direction. I want you to go back to when you were 10 years old. Not the adult dude, the boy. And what did that boy want to do? What did he dream about before the marriage and divorce, before the stress, survival, before life just freaking puts you into this blender? What was in that boy's heart that's slowly buried under responsibility and limitation? Because here's what I know after coaching hundreds of men through this, helping thousands of dads. The man you're supposed to become is not a stranger. He is the boy you were before the world told you to be practical. And most divorced dads, they can't dream right now. And like I said before, the neuroscience is that chronic stress suppresses activity in the prefrontal cortex of your brain. And that's responsible for future planning, imagination, and goal setting. And a man under this stress literally cannot access his full capacity. He can't even think or dream. It's not that it's not a lack of ambition, it's biology. And the rebuild has to reduce the stress load before the dreams become accessible again. You're not broken because you can't dream. You are under a tremendous load. The dreams are still there, man. They're buried. So 3 questions to dig up, 3 questions today to unpack. And this is where you've got to get yourself in a place of movement or a place of peace to get that mind to just settle down for a minute. So here's the first one. What did the 10-year-old version of you want to be before anyone told you it was practical? What do you do now where time disappears? Where you look up and an hour has gone by without noticing? What are you doing when that happens? If your kids were watching you build your life, what would you want them to see you becoming? That's a good one. For me, there were some things as a young child that I was really active in sports and those things. I'm going to unpack you a few things for me that have helped. And I got into sports, right? It's like, okay, I'm 40 now. I'm not going to be in sports. So, but in going through that, it allowed me to dream. It allowed me to do. It allowed me to build habits. It allowed me to be around leaders and those kinds of things. As I got older, what I noticed was that I was a guy that would sneak to the back or hide in the corners of the rooms or be very introverted. You see this guy now and you're like, "Oh man, like wow, that's, this was not the guy." The normal Anthony was hiding in the corner, and I was doing this for dozens of individuals, helping them make millions of dollars, but I was in the back. And what I started to realize was I had to look and say to myself, "All right, son, all right, Anthony, like what would you do? What would you want to do and what would you want to build?" And I just kept seeing that I was a leader, but I wasn't acting like a leader. I wasn't behaving like a leader. I wasn't putting myself in those types of roles. And I could see myself speaking and I could see myself leading others and advising and coaching and doing those things, but I wasn't doing any of those. And it seemed like the furthest thing in the world. I wanted to write books, but I wasn't writing books. And for me, I remember the first thing that I started to do was writing devotionals on YouVersion. And those devotionals was just me saying, I think I can write. I'm going to try this. And I did it. And that turned into almost 250,000 subscribers with YouVersion and writing things for them. But I say that to say those things in your heart, those things that you're dreaming about, it's moving toward those closer. Who do you want to become? I think a lot of you guys have a book that's in you. I think a lot of you guys have writing that's in you. I think a lot of you guys have leadership that's in you. And sometimes it starts with even leading in our community. There's guys now that they're texting me saying, "Holy cow, man, I can't believe I'm helping these other dads get through this." He goes, "Just a few months, I couldn't even get out of bed." And these leadership gifts open a door that opens another door, and you don't know what the next one opens, but as you start to do those things that you maybe think weren't possible, other things start to open up. That's what I've noticed for me when I started to do these things. I don't know exactly what they are, but I also look at this and say, man, I get to reach 7 million people every month. I get to sit with dads and walk them through the most difficult times of their life. I get to see dads find wins with their children and find wins in their mindset and find business wins to create the margin for their kids and to do those things. And I'm getting emotional just talking about it, man. But I look at that and I say, man, as I'm 80 years old and I'm getting put in a casket, I can look back and say, man, I put it all on the line. And I love seeing dads win because I know how much that means when you have nothing and it feels like you have nothing. But you take what you have, you take what's in your hand, and you take what's in your heart and you use it. You take what's in your hand and you use it. And you do those things and it's simple. And it's simple. But look back and say, "Hey, what would my kids look at?" I remember the first time somebody challenged me to coach my kids' flag football team. I was terrified. And really, I was terrified about the parents. I was terrified about what other people thought of me. I was terrified about failing. I was terrified about if kids didn't like me. And it turned out to be the greatest moments of bonding with my son ever. I ever. I mean, the best. I say those to you because if you're sitting with me and we were walking down this road, I wouldn't necessarily, you might not have the full picture, but I will say that there's small things you can do today that you know you can do to start that process and see what happens after you open that door. And I know that was a little bit of a tangent, but I want to close with this. And again, if you have more questions or thoughts on this, just get in our school group and start in there and start building this stuff out and start getting with other leaders and do those hard things. But Jeremiah 29:11, many of you know this verse. It says, "I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper, not to harm you, plans to give you hope in a future." I want you to notice what this says and what it doesn't. It doesn't say once you figure out your plan, I'll bless it. It says, I know the plans. He already has them. Your job is not to manufacture the vision from scratch. Your job is to get quiet enough, healthy enough, present enough around guys that are moving where you want to move. And the man you're supposed to become is not a mystery God is hiding from you. He is a revelation. He is waiting to give you when you're ready to receive it. All of that stuff is for you. Remember, drifters. Let's talk about drifters again because this is so common. Drifters, and as it applies to the photos and everything, drifters delete photos in a moment of pain and erase the evidence that they lived. or they keep everything exactly as it was and let the grief stay unprocessed forever. But builders, this is who we're talking to. You guys, come on. This is next level. Builders sort through it slowly, keeping what belongs to their kids, processing what belongs to their healing, integrating what belongs to their story. Drifters ask, who am I supposed to be? And wait for an answer, wait for that magic unicorn. Builders go back to the 10-year-old boy and they start excavating. The man you're supposed to become was always in there. The divorce didn't create him, it uncovered the ground where he gets built. Start digging. Think about those moments when you had those dreams. So if either of those questions sounded like you, share this episode with a dad. 70% of you, 30% of you subscribers, thank you. 70%, jump on board. Let's go help a million dads and transform their life and legacy. Let's get their life back. You're part of the solution. Drop a follow, drop a sub, share this with somebody, jump in the school group. And again, those of you looking for the one-on-one experience with me to apply, you can apply in the show notes. Those of you guys that have a business, you're high-level execs, you want to launch this thing. You're a leader and you're not getting the job done. And you know you need to do better. This is the time to do that. I love you guys, and I'll see you on the next one. God bless you.